G'day folks, Raymond Foster here, hope you're doing great. Open quote, in my experience, people get Westernkind if they have context. I always make sure to use it before Western men or West men. It makes for a smoother learning curve, in my opinion. Close quote. So, in regards to phrases like Westman, Westernkind, Western, right? Anything like this, no context is required at all. People subconsciously understand Westman or Westman, Westernkind instantly. And that's why it's one of the key concepts of Go Free. Okay? For generations, there's been all the nonsense, the meme pathogens, the pretext, the anti-white narrative constructed around terms like European. Native Europeans don't even have to have white skin. They can be non-whites now in the anti-white narrative, so European is useless. White itself is useful, but by itself, as an initial, right? So this is opposite. It's not that Westernkind needs context. It's that words like white need context. Because without the correct context, bringing those words into the white positive narrative, white in the anti-white narrative, so most people's brains, means whiteness, which means not actually a race, just a fantasy of maniac people who want to massacre non-whites. Okay? So white isn't that useful, but if you have the context of Westernkind, which brings a person into the white positive narrative, out of the anti-white narrative, then white is useful because it means us, Westernkind, because we have that context there. So there's no need for any context for Westman or Westernkind. It is a key concept, automatically understood by everyone on the planet. It's designed that way. And it creates context for us to be able to talk about our people, our race, our folk. Without Westernkind, without that key concept, you can't talk to any normal person in the world about the white race. People in the world can only understand that you're talking about the white race if you talk about Westernkind and you start by referring to the white race as Westernkind. Okay? Because they'll automatically understand what Westernkind is. Nobody is going to think that a Japanese person is a part of Westernkind. Nobody is going to think in their subconscious brain, okay, because we've been raised from childhood, subconsciously, everyone on the planet, all right, so we all have the same subconscious brain, everyone on the planet alive today, so everybody associates Western with our race. Western society, Western cultures, Western traditions, Western democracy, Western capitalism, which is our form of economics as white people. So our entire lives we're conditioned, we have this concept in our brain subconsciously, so it's automatically understood. All right, even if you want to think consciously otherwise, you want to think you think otherwise. No, you don't. Everyone on the planet thinks this way. This is the way your brain's programmed to think. Doesn't matter who you are. This is how your brain works, all right? Anything associated with Western, is associated with the white race, our people, our folk. That's why even in Australia, we have Western culture and society, because we all know it means white, okay? Everyone on the planet knows Western culture means white culture, okay? So that's what you need to create the context, that key concept. Again, if you just tried to talk about white folk, it's not going to work, because in the anti-white narrative, white people don't exist. There is no white race. Okay? So if you take that route, it's been set up with pretexts which create that perception of reality, that understanding that there is no such thing as a white race. Anyone who says there is or shows any care for that imaginary white race, it doesn't actually exist. Again, this is all the anti-white narrative, the pretext, justifications built up, the story, the narrative, which justifies the white erasure and anti-whiteism. Okay? So again, taking that angle, it just goes straight into the anti-white narrative, right? And it becomes harmful to Westernkind, our foe. So it's the opposite here, okay? Terms like Westernkind need no context whatsoever. Everyone on the planet automatically understands what you're talking about, what you mean. And if they say they don't, they're just talking smack. All right? To try to create dramas and, you know, they're trying to mislead you, etc. Simple. Doesn't matter who they are, every single person on the planet knows Westernkind means the white race. Automatically, it's programmed in their brain. They don't get to decide for themselves. Everyone alive on the planet, all right? So no context at all is required. We're all programmed from birth to understand that Western means white, which then allows us to actually talk about white folk and the white race without it being used, because of the way that our neurons work, which create our perception of reality, okay? If you haven't got the context of Westernkind, that fundamental axiom, that's why it's a key concept. Again, it's one of the 5 key concepts. There's 5 most important words you can know on the planet. Westernkind is one of them. Because it needs no context. It is the context required for everything else. That's why it's so powerful. Again, this stuff isn't by accident. It's scientifically studied and applied and proven and adapted. All right? Strategies and wisdom. Constantly tested and tested. So it's not like folk have just decided randomly, oh, we'll just use the word Westernkind. Oh, no, it sounds nice. No, it's a key concept. It's one of the 5 one of the most important, now the 5 most important words on the planet right now in this current age. It's one of those 5 most important words in existence that creates the context to then construct the white positive narrative, which is a recapturing of our destiny and an end of racial discrimination against innocent members of Westernkind, okay? Innocent white folk. Puts an end to white erasure, an end to anti-whiteism. Again, how? By just using these 5 key concepts, all right? White erasure, anti-white, anti-whiteism, anti-white narrative, Westernkind. All right? Using these key concepts, okay, this is the context which then constructs the white positive narrative and frees our people and puts an end to all the suffering and the harm of innocent members of Westernkind. Okay? So again, it's not some random idea people are, oh, maybe we'll just use the word Westernkind. It kind of sounds cool. No, it's been scientifically tested and applied because it's the best concept in existence. It's the one that works. Yeah? It's the building block, the foundation. If you try to build on anything else, it's all just going to fall over. You have to build on a strong foundation. Okay? These are the axioms, the context, which sets everything else up. The building blocks, the foundation on which the entire white positive narrative is constructed. And if we don't have that constructed and we don't live in that, and we don't have a majority of people on the planet living in that narrative that needs to be constructed on these 5 key concepts, okay, so the 5 most important concepts on the planet, the 5 most important words, all right? And the entire white positive narrative needs to rest on these 5 key concepts. They are the foundation on which it all sits. And any of them are not in place, it all falls apart. The anti-white narrative wins. Our race goes extinct. We're white erased from existence forever. We'll be wiped out of history. They'll rewrite the history. Everything will never exist, not even in history. There won't even be a point back like, oh, when white people did it. No. We'll just be gone forever from everything. Not even in the history books. We never existed. They'll wipe us out and wipe out every trace that we ever existed. Forgotten forever. thrown into the abyss. Okay, again, if we do not build the white positive narrative on this foundation, these 5 key concepts, which need no context whatsoever, because they are the context for everything else. Take it easy.